Here's the problem with Hungarian history. Everyone argues about it. Are the Magyars Asian or European? Are they Huns or Finns? And why does every century seem to throw Hungary into another invasion or heartbreak? To really understand Hungary today, you have to ride with Árpád's horsemen, witness St. Stephen's crown, and face the Mongols and Ottomans head on. Only then can you answer the big question. Who are the Hungarians? Imagine the boundless Eurasian steppe with clans of horsemen in felt tents, speaking a strange Uralic tongue. The Magyars, the Hungarian ancestors, belong to the Uralic family, one of Europe's oddballs. And today, Hungarian, Magyar, is spoken by about 14 million people. Around 895 to 896 AD, under chieftain Árpád, these steppe nomads swept west into the Carpathian Basin. In just a few years, they overran a patchwork of Slavic, Germanic, and local tribes, effectively unifying the basin under one rule. By 907, they'd already won the Battle of Pressburg, Bratislava, against Bavarian forces, proving their domination of the new land. The Magyars still fought like the Huns of old, lightning cavalry raids with bows and sabers. Battle accounts credit them with classic nomadic tactics, feigned retreats, ambushes, swarming horse archers, and sudden charges, things European knights rarely saw. It's no coincidence that the land they claimed in 895 was part of Attila's empire back in the 5th century. Árpád's house established itself as masters of the plains, and within this dynasty would emerge St. Stephen I, its first Christian king. The stage was set. A Finno-Ugric language-speaking people, expert horse warriors, now in Central Europe. The legends would soon arise to link these Magyars with Attila's Huns. Before we move to the next section, please don't forget to subscribe if you've liked the video so far. Fast forward a century. Árpád's grandson, Stephen, István, unites Hungary under one crown and one faith. In the year 1000, this former pagan prince was crowned King Stephen, with a papal crown sent by Pope Sylvester II. He introduced Christianity wholesale, built the first churches and monasteries, and reorganized the realm into counties with appointed officials. By the time of Stephen's death in 1038, Hungary was a stable Christian kingdom with an independent church hierarchy, an archbishop and 6 bishoprics, separate from the Holy Roman Empire. Stephen tied Hungary into Western Europe's orbit, dispatching envoys to popes and emperors and becoming a Christian shield for Europe's flank. Hungary even got its own version of Magna Carta. In 1222, King Andrew II issued the Golden Bull of 1222, a royal charter of 31 articles that guaranteed noble rights and limited the king's power. It forced the monarch to call diet meetings, outlawed taxation of nobles without consent, and even enshrined the nobles' right to resist, the ius resistandi, if the king broke these laws. Sound familiar? It's Hungary's answer to England's Magna Carta, but 7 years earlier. By the 13th century, Hungary was a full recognized medieval state. Popes canonized Stephen in 1083 as the apostle of the Magyars, and European travelers noted the new Christian culture on what was once steep wilderness. But peace on the plains was fragile. Already by 1241, the worst was yet to come. Disaster struck in April 1241. Batu Khan's Mongol hordes poured through the Carpathians, and at the Battle of Mohi, they annihilated King Bela IV's army, about 60,000 dead out of approximately 100,000. The capital of Pest was burned. Unprepared villages were wiped out. Contemporary accounts and archaeology suggest perhaps 15 to 25% of Hungary's population perished in the invasion. For months, the Magyars fled to the mountains and marshes, while Hungary lay wide open under Mongol rule. Even Europe trembled. Witnesses spoke of hearing the rumble of Mongol hoofbeats across the plains. Luckily for Western Europe, the great Khan Ogedei died, and Batu withdrew to Mongolia, sparing Europe further carnage. Hungary never fully recovered its pre-Mongol manpower, but it did slowly rebuild under Bela IV and his successors, rebuilding stone castles and churches on the bones of burned villages. 3 centuries later, the next trial arrived from the south. the Ottoman Turks. In 1526 at Mohacs, the young King Louis II led 35,000 Hungarians against 60,000 Ottomans. The result was catastrophic. Louis fell, and about 18,000 Hungarian soldiers died in the massacre. This defeat ended the existence of Hungary as an independent united kingdom. Over the next century, the Central Plain and Southern Fortress slipped under Ottoman rule, turning Hungary into a buffer zone between empires. After driving out the Turks in the late 1600s, Hungary became a crown land of the Habsburg Empire. Nationalist sparks flew in 1848 when liberals, led by Lajos Kossuth, demanded a Hungarian parliament and independence. For 13 months, Hungary had its own revolutionary government and even an army of volunteers. But the Habsburg Emperor, Franz Joseph, called in 200,000 Russian troops, and by mid-1849, the revolution was crushed. Hungary was forced back under Habsburg control, and Hungarian patriots hunkered down for the hard fight ahead. The 20th century brought the final blow and humiliation. On June 4, 1920, the Treaty of Trianon was signed. Defeated, Hungary lost about two-thirds of its pre-World War I territory and two-thirds of its population, including over 3 million ethnic Hungarians left outside the new borders. In a stroke, the old Carpathian Basin was carved up among Romania, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Austria. The Kingdom of St. Stephen had shrunk to about one-third of its former self. This loss, the wound of Trianon, is still remembered passionately in Hungary today. Want to understand the world better? Start with history and subscribe to our channel. Through all these centuries, the legend of Attila the Hun loomed large in the Hungarian imagination. Medieval chronicles and folklore often painted the Magyars as the rightful heirs of Attila's Huns. For instance, the 13th century Gesta Hungarorum by the chronicler Anonymous, and later works told the Hunar and Magyar saga, a mythic origin where Magyars and Huns sprang from the same pair of ancestral brothers. According to that legend, the Magyars had simply reclaimed the very lands ruled by Attila 500 years earlier. Even the ruling Árpád dynasty traced itself in popular lore back to Attila, claiming that Árpád's line was descended from the great Hun emperor. In short, Attila became a symbol, a mythic forefather, bestowing glory and legitimacy on the Hungarian nation. Modern scholars take a different approach. Linguistically, Hungarian is firmly Uralic, Finno-Ugric, not Turkic. Mainstream linguistics place Hungarian with the Mansi and Khanty of Siberia. Yes, Hungarian does have many loanwords from Turkic and other steppe languages, hundreds in fact, from Persian, Turkic, Slavic, German, and Latin, a legacy of life on the steppes, but the grammar and core vocabulary tie back to Proto-Uralic, and rather than being a recent import from Central Asia, the Uralic language family turns out to be ancient. A 2025 genetic study even traced the ancestors of Hungarians back to hunter-gatherers in Siberia, Yakutia, around 4,500 years ago, the same people who spread Finno-Ugric languages. In fact, this Yakutian ancestry signature crops up in Uralic-speaking peoples, even Finns and Estonians, and shows up in Hungary as a tiny but detectable layer of DNA. Archaeology and genetics add more nuance. Medieval Huns left few clear descendants. Over time, they were absorbed or called Hun by new steppe invaders. The fall of Attila's empire led many rulers on the steppes to claim his name and legacy for their own prestige. The Magyars themselves were a mixed brew, a Uralic core plus significant Turkic, Khazar, and Iranian steppe elements from centuries of wandering. Recent genome studies, like the one at Harvard, suggest that ancient Hungarians had both Eastern steppe ancestry and Western European admixture, a true Eurasian blend. Today, Hungary still wears all these layers of history. Its 9.7 million citizens, around 14 million worldwide, speak Magyar, Europe's most widely used Uralic language. Hungarian remains a linguistic island in a sea of Indo-European tongues. You'll hear it not only in Budapest, but in pockets of Slovakia, Romania, and Serbia, and even in Chicago or Ontario among descendants. Culture, too, is a stew of East and West. Take the Cymbalom, The big-hammered dulcimer played by czars, Hungarian Roma bands. It's quintessentially Hungarian in sound. The concert cymbalom, a grand piano-like version, was invented in Budapest in 1874 by Josef Schunda, based on old peasant dulcimers. By 1906, over 10,000 of these instruments were made, and composers like Liszt and Bartók took notice. You can even taste it. You can even taste it. Hungarian cuisine started on the movable kitchens of herdsmen. The national dish, Magyars, goulash, began as a simple shepherd's stew, cooked in a pot over the open fire of the Great Plain. When New World paprika, red chili pepper, arrived via Ottoman times, clever Hungarians domesticated it and made it their signature spice. By the late 1800s, paprika was everywhere, from sausage to soups, and it turned goulash from plain beef stew into the iconic red soup stew we know today. So what do you think? Should Hungarians still embrace Attila as an ancestor? Or is that just rewriting history? Let us know in the comments below. Here's another video history buffs enjoyed watching. Goodbye for now.